someone has written in a book, or someone has written and now we have it in a book. I believe that would be that would be more correct. I have right here in front of me a book. I do. It's got 66 books in it. Or it's got 66 chapters in it. It's got a lot of pages in it. This book right here. It says the Holy Bible. Updated New American Standard. That's what I got. Just wanted to let you know. Got the Holy Bible, updated New American Standard. And it's got some pages in it. It's got a little information. And it's got a preface and principles of translation, permission to quote. I've got permission. And I can do something because it's copyrighted. It's all of this information is in the front of this book. And it explains some things. It's got, something that you can read to give you a little bit of information to get you going. It has a page, I'm looking at it right here, the books of the Bible, Old Testament. I don't know if you've ever seen this page of a Bible or not, but I'm looking at it tonight. I'm looking at it right now. And Old Testament begins with Genesis and goes through Malachi. That's how it goes. And there are New Testament. Begins with Matthew, ends with Revelation. This thing has the page numbers. May not interest you, but I'll just throw it in here because I'm, looking at it. Genesis begins, page 1. Malachi ends, or no, Malachi doesn't end, but the book Malachi begins on page 1494. I'm looking at this. It says the New Testament begins with Matthew on page 1501. 1501 is the beginning of Matthew. So if you had the same book that I got, all I would need to do would be give you a number, a page number, and you could follow along. But the chances are you don't have this book in front of you. So I won't do that. And it says that Revelation begins on page 1914. Now, 1914, if these were years, then Revelation was 1914. Well, we've already got to 2019. Yeah, this is 2019. That was 2019. So 2019 would not be that many more pages if you added it to 1914. Now I'm going to just turn over here just because I'm interested. I want to see what page Revelation ends on. That's what I want to see. And there's some pages, in the front of the book, as well as pages in the back of the book with information. I mean, a lot of information is in this Bible that I have. This revised one. Did I mention that? Okay, I'm looking at the back of the book, and the back page is 1942, 1942. So let's just, just for the sake of, I'll just say 1942. That's the year 1942. And which got to be, it was 5 years, 1942 was 5 years before I was born. So now you know that I was born in 1947. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with the page numbers in the Bible. I realize that. I really do. But I want some people to know and understand what I'm looking at right here. I have not read this book. I have read a New American Standard Bible, but I have not read all of this one right here. I haven't. I haven't read the updated version. I haven't. So I could find out. And this was updated in 1995. That information is in the book. Now, I have spent 7 minutes and 25 seconds talking about this book. And I want some people to understand. Please understand. Jesus made a statement one day to some disciples. And he told them to let their yes be yes and no be no. That's what he told them. Now you can imagine a lot of things, what he was telling them. But let your yes be yes and no be no could mean be sure when you speak. Don't be unsure. That means if you say something, you don't want to have to come back and change it later. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. I think some parents need to understand that if they tell a child no, that the child should learn pretty quick what no means. If you tell a child yes, I think the child should know what yes means. I do. And most of the time that I've noticed that you can tell somebody no, they don't want no. That's not what they want. But Jesus wanted some people to know some things, and that's why he spoke. The reason for speaking is to make things known, okay? All right, I've got to the 10-minute mark. Now I'm going to talk a little bit here about a book or a portion of the book, I'm on page 1448, and it gets to the book of Jonah. The book of Jonah. The book of Jonah goes from 1448 to 1451. I only got to turn, one page, and that's it. I got to read this, I got to read this, and I read that, and all of this could be on about 3 pages. Now, Jonah. Jesus mentioned Jonah. Did you know that? That's Jesus. Jonah was one of the people that Jesus did mention when he talked to his disciples. And he talked to the disciples about Jonah being 3 days and 3 nights somewhere. And that's what Jesus did. But the word of the Lord came to Jonah. He was the son of a man. And the man probably, was married, maybe he had a wife, and they had a son. But Jonah was the son. And the word of the Lord came to Jonah. That means Jonah heard God speak to him. That's what that means. Don't be confused, please. He didn't get a letter in the mail. An angel didn't come appear to him and talk to him. That's not what happened. The word of the Lord came to Jonah, and Jonah heard God speak. These were the words that he heard. Arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. Me can only refer to one. That's all. Me can only refer to me. And if you use the word me, it can only refer to you. Arise and go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah rose up to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. So he went down to Joppa, and he found a ship which was going to Tarshish. He couldn't take an airplane. There was no plane. He couldn't take a train. There was no train. Jonah had to take what was available, and it had to be a ship. And the ship was going to Tarshish. He paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. Now, I don't know why it says from the presence of the Lord. I don't. Yeah, you can figure that out for yourself. But it's obvious he's not going to Nineveh. That's not the plan. And it says in verse 4, the Lord hurled a great wind on the sea, and there was a great storm on the sea, so that the ship was about to break up. All because one man had heard from God and had been given some directions, and he didn't want to take them. Now we will continue this in the next video.